I'm Chris Hahn, the Aggressive Progressive. Check out a new episode of the Aggressive Progressive podcast every Tuesday. You know, the election is heating up just as the year is winding down. Stick with me. I'll tell you the truth as I see it. Download the Aggressive Progressive on Pandora or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, I'm Mark Goodman.
And I'm Alan Light.
On today's podcast, in celebration of International Guitar Month, Pete Townsend of The Who will join us.
Pete went deep with us into his relationship with the guitar and with music in general. The new Broadway version of Tommy. He clarified the status and the future of The Who and much, much more.
Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light, the only music podcast that matters. Get it on Pandora, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Even when you're not rich, man, once you found yourself, you know where you're going in life. It's just happiness inside of you. I know something great's gonna happen. I don't know when, but I know it's gonna happen.
Film director Asri Bendacha, in his new documentary, The Pursuit of Greatness, follows a struggling young artist named Jon Rise while he figures out life, family, trying to become a famous rapper, and then Asri himself is also a hip-hop fan, but also this amazing film creator, film director, and he's trying to explore what hip-hop is like in this new digital age. Yeah. And with that, I want to welcome Asri to the library with Tim Einenkel.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
Thank you for having me.
So, I went to the screening the other night, and got to watch the film, and it was wonderful to watch. I mean, it was a great story that you told the entire time. The characters cast is interesting, so to say. But you obviously, we're introduced to you as this filmmaker.
Yeah.
But you are also this person who loves hip hop.
I do love hip hop. Like, I grew up with hip hop, and I'm French, Algerian, and so for people who don't know, French is the second hip hop market in the world after the US. So we were in the early 90s, late 80s, we were like bombarded with hip hop very like straight away. And so I grew up with this music, and that's the music I love, like really like. I've been raised with hip hop.
One thing, what was that first kind of piece of music that really got your attention? But also at the same time, since you're being bombarded with American hip hop, right?
Yeah.
And you're not.
I don't even speak English. Right. I don't even understand the lyrics.
So what is it that spoke to you at this time? That
it was like, so my brother, I have an older brother. It was like at that time I was 8, and I think he was like 12, and he got this CD. It was the first album. Of Snoop Dogg, I think it was Doggy Style.
Nice, yeah.
And there was this track, Murder Was the Case, in this album. And I remember my brother was playing it like 24 hours a day. Wow. And I didn't understand the lyrics, but the atmosphere of this track was super dark at the time. It was like extremely dark. And I felt very attracted to it. There was like something. So even if I didn't know the lyrics, I was like moved by the flow, the rhythm, so everything, like the music. And but before we had like MTV, when MTV arrived in France, we had like the first thing I will say was MC Hammer, I think. Nice. That was one of these music video like they were putting, and that's the one I was like, oh, I want to dance like this too. You know what I mean? That's how it started.
So when did you transition to this love of film and film culture, and
Actually, so I was like doing a little bit of music video, doing like some video for like some commercial for online digital video, like really boring stuff. And I actually had this camera, and I had this idea of doing my first documentary, which was about social media influencer that you can find on Netflix. I'm proud of it.
Nice.
I'm joking. So I just like one day decided to tell my story. You know what I mean? I just like, everybody's taking cameras, phones, and everything, and doing a lot of content. But I like films and documentaries, so I didn't want to do anything like YouTube very fast or like social media video. So I made a documentary, and then now a second one.
Speaking of, you just said everyone's doing videos. How, with this market or with this field, so to say, like like a lot of fields, like podcasting as well, and being flooded. How hard is it to try to figure out how to stand out? Like knowing you present something that is going to make you stand out from the bunch.
I don't think about it. Like when I do something, and that's not just like words. It's like I do it for myself first. Like I don't care. Like people always think that I've done Follow Me after I met Netflix, and then they told me, okay, that we can finance you. I was like, no, I did Follow Me. I finished it, I produced it and everything. And later on, Netflix came on board, you know what I mean? And it's the same for this documentary. I don't have any expectation. I'll do it because I wanted to see a documentary about hip-hop that I'll enjoy. Because now all of the documentary that I've seen, it's always about East Coast versus West Coast and like Suge Knight and Death Row and Biggie and Tupac. And it's like, I've seen that. I'm done with that. But I haven't really seen anything about what's happening right now.
From your experiences right now, what are the major similarities and kind of differences between hip hop culture and film culture?
There's no it's the same. That's why like this film is about me filming someone trying to achieve something, which is this guy Jon trying to become a rapper.
My name's Jon Rise, and I'm a rapper.
I'm baby Jonathan. He's really big Jonathan.
I'm really big Jonathan, and that's baby.
But at the same time, by doing this film, I'm also trying to become a successful filmmaker. So our life, it's the same. It's very similar. So that's how I was like hip-hop or film or whatever, or even podcast you're saying. It's like those fields are really hard because everyone wants to be in it, you know what I mean? But a lot of people have expectation, which probably can be financial expectation or like fame expectation. But if you do it just for the sake of doing it for love, then it's fine. And that applies for hip hop, that applies for film, that applies for anything you do in life.
The great thing about this documentary, I think, is that what it does is it takes two artists, you being one and John being the other, and watching two people that have to trust each other. That you're going to have to trust him to be for different reasons. He doesn't have to trust you for different reasons, but also trust him that he's going to be an interesting subject, and he's going to have to trust you that you're going to be able to capture his light. How did you build that trust?
Everyone has an interesting life. Not enough sometimes to be on like 24 hours, you know what I mean? But if you shoot someone in 6 weeks, you probably gonna have some interesting moments, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so, but it applies for everyone. It's for everyone. But the trust, it took time for me. It took a lot of time for me to trust him because, especially when you bring a camera in front of someone, people can fake it.
Okay.
And we all fake it.
Yeah.
Like if you put a phone in front of me and you start filming me right now, like this is not 100% me, you know?
Right, of course.
So it's the same for him. So it was really hard to break him, like to tell him, like, be as natural as you can. And that's why, like, the most natural person in the film, it's his daughter.
Right.
Because she doesn't even care about it. She doesn't pay attention to the camera, you know?
So it makes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It makes 9.
You almost called her?
I mean, so just take us in prior.
Yeah.
We obviously saw the final. I mean, we saw the version you put together, but obviously there's a lot of film that's on the cutting room floor, to sort of say.
Yeah.
So is a lot of that film, or a good amount of that film, I say, quote unquote, you decided not to use because the trust wasn't quite there yet?
No. It just like, it doesn't fit in the story. There's things, you know. What I do, it's like, I film. Okay, well, I'll write a little bit, just a few things. I make some research before, just like, oh, this is an interesting topic. This is an interesting topic. But then I go and I film, and I just like spend like 6 weeks, 24 hours filming. I really don't sleep. Like I'm pretty intense, and I drive him crazy. And then it's like cooking a meal. So you have all these ingredients, and then like you have to build a story with those ingredients. You know what I mean? So there is things that just doesn't fit because I don't have the right moment, I don't have the right transition, or maybe it was too long to explain, and like, you know, people, it's already 81 minutes.
Right.
So then I can't do like The Godfather Part 2, you know what I mean, or Part 1. I wish, but I can't.
So obviously we have a lot of there's a lot of artists out there, especially now with the internet.
Yep.
People think they're artists. Some people are real artists. You know, why did you take this chance on? Like, what drew you to Jon and as an artist? Like, why him?
Because he's no one, and I think that was interesting to see. Like, you know, this rapper, they always tell you this beautiful story about like, I struggle, I've done this, like to reach this level. Like, you don't know the sacrifice, everything I've done, I've been full of shit, whatever. But you don't know, you never seen it. So I was wondering, like, what does it take for a guy that no one cares, no one knows? He's a rapper in his mind, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like a rapper in his bedroom, but no one knows him. So that's why it was interesting, is to see someone random, a guy who wants to be a rapper, somewhere in the US, and what does it take to become a rapper? What's your life, and what makes you want to be a rapper? So that's what is interesting. I don't want to film like someone's famous.
Right.
It's not interesting. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna be fake because like you're already famous. And there's nothing that I don't really know, you know what I mean? Like, okay, you go in the studio, you do this, but I wanted to see like the struggle. That's what is interesting.
When you asked John, like, what does he want to get out of this? What was his response to you?
No, first response is like he wants to make a living out of his music. He wants to provide for his family, but it's his passion. So he wants to live out of his passion. That's his main goal. So I wish him the best, but it's a long way, and that's the thing. Like. He didn't really understand that it takes time. Nowadays, people, they think like, I'm going to record in the studio, put it on YouTube, and tomorrow I'm going to be famous.
Yeah.
That's what they think, you know what I mean? Because there is like few here and there, you know, you have like recently Lil Nas put this track on TikTok, take some time and boom, it's #1 worldwide after that.
Right.
But doesn't mean you're going to sustain, you know what I mean? Like you need to build your fan base, you need to build your career. It takes time, you have to be patient. But social media and internet makes us like, so impatient, just swipe, like, swipe.
Right.
That's what it is.
What were your conversations like with him, talking about music, and like what did you find were his influences that you kind of like? That's bullshit.
That was the first question I asked him on the phone when he contacted me. I was like, "Who do you listen? Like, who are you into?" Because I will not work with someone who doesn't like who likes the shittiest hip hop that we have sometimes, you know what I mean? Not all artists, but some of them. So his main influence, I will say, like, now he's 25 years old, so you have to remember that he's 25 years old. Like me, I will say like Biggie, Tupac. I'm 36, but him, it's Kendrick, J. Cole, I think Logic.
Not bad.
So that's those artists.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Lyricist. That's what he wants.
You know, I believe as a documentarian, you're not supposed to get involved with your subjects or their lives, right? I mean, you're supposed to hold off as much as you can because you want to have the natural feel. Were there moments though that you wanted to like, as the mature adult, I guess, in the room, to kind of say something like, well, if this is your plan, then what are you doing? This is,
you know what I mean? The thing is like, it's a family.
Yeah.
It's not my family. It's his family. It's his life. So I couldn't involve in it. Like I refuse. I put some cameras, like hidden camera, a lot of time actually. There's a lot of shots that you can see that they don't even know they don't even aware that there is a camera. But you can't be involved because you always think like, I'm not going to tell you how to raise your daughter. I'm not going to tell you how to talk to your wife. I'm not going to. But if you ask me off camera, I will tell you like, there's something you can say to someone, you know. Right. I mean, the same. But I was like trying to be as much an outsider as possible. But when you're alone, when you're in the car with them fighting, it's like complicated, you know what I mean? So you just have to shut your mouth and like, okay, put your headphones and like, I'm out, you know what I mean?
I am the fucking man. I'm trying to actually change our fucking lives. You're trying to be the same shit as everyone else. What do you want me to do? You want to go fucking work somewhere?
Make their applications and go through the lawful process. Of the 11 people who tried to force their way in at the International Friendship Park yesterday, several of them already had prior criminal convictions and deportations from the USA. They've already been deported.
There's a scene in it where you kind of bring us inside. You kind of somewhat go away from John and you kind of bring us, that glimpse of Trump's America. With immigration policies and stuff like that. What was, for the overall concept of the scene and kind of also in relationship to film and hip hop, why bring us that?
There's many reasons actually. The first reason is like, I'm interested in it. Like I'm in Dubai, I'm living in Dubai or in France. We hear about the wall, like you have no idea, like Trump wall every day, every media, every time. So I was curious and we were like super close to the border. So I was like, I want to see it. But then I also realized that rappers, they take position sometimes, and mainly against Trump recently, like Snoop Dogg, Eminem, they make tracks against him, and then there's this polemic problem with like Kanye West supporting him. Yeah. So Trump is in hip hop. Like they were rapping about Trump back in the days. You know what I mean? Yeah. So he is part of the hip hop, even if he doesn't want. You know what I mean? And so I thought that would be interesting just to have my own opinion. And I also wanted to see like what's the political view of Jon. I think nowadays like everybody's asking everyone's opinion, so I just wanted to show his opinion, and I was actually very satisfied by his opinion, which means I don't give a fuck.
Right.
And that's my opinion. I don't vote, so I refuse to vote.
In terms of politics and hip hop, did you get a sense that Jon was kind of? There's rappers out there that if you call them a political artist, they'll back away, right? And even though, and I get that, I get you don't want to be. Do you get a sense that if his political views are pushed enough, that he would talk about it in rhyme?
But like if you go to political, like for me, I don't believe in politics. So like the thing is like if they don't really care, for me, that's my opinion. If politics don't care about me, then I don't care about them. And I think that's the fact. They don't really care about us, so I will not care about them. I think Michael Jackson said that too. Yeah. So I like Michael.
All I want to say is they don't really care about us.
They don't care about us, you know what I mean? So so Jon maybe like will put some punchline. He's writing a little bit about it, like, but you don't need to focus on it. You don't need to be like too political because politics divide, and I think that hip hop is made to gather together. And so remove the politics and let's talk about hip hop and bring people together instead of dividing them.
I want to ask you more about the video or the process of filming them. Obviously, you slept somewhat. You did have some sleep. So So there were, and as you mentioned, there were cameras all over, and you didn't have to man all of them. Was there a moment or a couple of moments when you obviously didn't know you weren't there for
6 weeks?
They're talking that was that kind of was like filmmaker's gold, like like it might have not been a good moment with their family or with Jon or his girl, but you're like, wow, this is the moment where like I'm so happy this happened,
Yeah, no, like in terms of fight, like there is one moment like I was like, okay, in filmmaking way, I was like, that's actually really cool. But I shouldn't say it, you know what I mean? I shouldn't think about it. It's like last time I was shooting in Paris. Just give you an example. I was shooting in Paris, and there was this yellow vest protest. There's like a big protest now every Saturday, and I went to shoot there and to film. And there was I've been shot by a cops with the bullet, rubber bullet, and I've been shot like, and that shit hurts like crazy. Like you have no idea, like, but the first thought I was like, did I tape it? Do I have it in camera? And then I realized that I got it. So I was happy, you know what I mean? And that's sad. You shouldn't be happy about it. But I was like, okay, at least I got it, you know what I mean? And that's the same thing that happens in the film. Sometimes you have a moment and you're like, this is not cool.
Right, you should be, no, I'm not happy. Yeah,
in my story, that will be cool,
Right.
So yeah, it happens.
Well, how about a moment? I mean, let's do a more lighter moment in terms of like something with watching Jon writing or him spitting lyrics to himself and kind of you catching those moments.
Studio, I like the studio. I love music. So this is where like the music's happening, and I love the studio part because it's a creative moment when I had the chance to film like from the conversation that we had to the final product, you know what I mean? And then you can see in the film that we're talking about money in the car randomly, just like, why money, what's happening? And then on the way to the studio, and when we arrive in the studio, we're like, should make a track about it, you know what I mean? And then you can see the process of making it. And then when you listen to the final result, you're like, oh my God, this is just from a conversation. And now we have like actually a track about it. So that's the moment where I felt like that's really, really, really cool. Right?
When you guys finally made it to the studio and you brought Jon to this incredible team.
In Houston.
Houston. And I actually didn't realize not just the beat making talent, but the actual instrument. I mean, they can play. I mean, they're real musicians.
All of them. Houston Sound Academy. That's
so
how they call it.
I mean, just to watch them, riff. It was kind of incredible to watch. What were your expectations in terms of what kind of music they would make for Jon?
I didn't know them. Okay, he's just a guy who texted me and messaged me on Instagram the same way I didn't know Jon. So I'm like going to people, I have no idea who they are. So when and I remember I was like asking the guy, the Steve, the owner of the studio in Houston, I was like, "Are you sure you're good enough?" You know what I mean? Because everybody's saying like I'm the shit, I'm so good, whatever. But what about if you arrive and you're like you suck? You know what I mean? And the same for Jon. I was scared that he was like a really terrible rapper because I didn't know. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh my God, maybe it's so bad, and maybe the producer they're bad, and everything will be bad. But then the guy, it happens that so when I arrive, I already knew what happened. Like we were like 3 weeks shooting, I think, and I was like, okay, I might need tracks that sounds like this. I might need a track that sounds like this, because I already knew what happened in the film. You know what I mean? I've seen all the footage already. I'm like editing in my mind. So I'm like, I will need a track about this. I will need a track about that. I will need a track about this. And that was the process. So every day I just come and say like, I've seen the footage. I think I'm going to put it in the film. So I will need a track about what happened between him and his girlfriend, or about him and his like being broke. So like, about money. And every day was just like, we need to make tracks. So you make 6 tracks in 4 days, I think.
That's amazing.
That's great. Yeah,
that's a lot of work.
It was like, this is why we didn't sleep. Literally.
You know, you've done 2 documentaries.
Yeah.
Right? What have you learned about yourself in terms of growing as a filmmaker? Like kind of do's and don'ts, you know, like something maybe next time around if you did something like this that you would approach it differently, or maybe even keep it the same?
I'm actually approaching this one. I'm actually approaching it very differently. This one, I'm 100% independent. I like independence. That's something very important, and it's hard for me to delegate. And you learn that you can't trust anyone. That's very important. And if you do something, just like do it as much as you can. Do it by yourself. Like, because once you wait after people, that makes things very complicated. And that's why in this film I have the soundtrack. This film has a soundtrack, because on my previous film, Follow Me, the struggle to get the music right, it was insane.
Right.
So in this time I was like, I don't care. I'm not going to leave the studio until I have the soundtrack of the film. And when I say soundtrack, it means every single music in the film. So that was a very important lesson. Be careful with the music. That costs a lot if you want the rights.
Right.
That costs a lot of money.
Before I ask you my last question, of course, I want listeners and viewers to know the best way to follow you. And so if you could tell that real quick, and then I want to ask you my last question.
Go ahead.
So sorry.
What was the question?
Best way to follow the film,
the best way to follow me?
Okay,
but just go on my Instagram. It's follow Asri. I have to say it. FOLLOWASRI. You can watch the film on Netflix. And this one, if we're going to go on tour, so if you're in LA, Atlanta, Houston, Toronto, Miami, San Francisco, and we're going to come back to New York, because we're going to shoot the part 2 in New York.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So here's my last question. If there one kind of scene moment in this film that would be would sum up kind of everything, John's struggle, your struggle?
I think it's Big Boy. It's one of the parts when I'm interviewing Big Boy, where it literally told me that people die for this music.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes you forget that, you know what I mean? It's like, you have to pay respect for the people who, if you're enjoying hip hop right now, it's because a lot of things happened before, you know? And when he say that, that's why I put it in the film. It's like, it's just a reminder to people, like, you have something very precious that people care so much, and you have to respect it. Like, you can't just use it and throw it, and like just using it as a money maker or whatever. You can make money, but just like you can respect it, still respecting it, and not just like being a rapper and like maybe next week being an influencer, and next week like you know what I mean? You're a rapper. Like, respect the people who rap, and respect the people who die for it.
So Asri Bendacha.
Yeah.
Sorry, my last name's not my last name's not easy either.
Yeah.
Asri Bendacha, Pursuit of Greatness, his new documentary. Keep following him and checking him out, and continue to support. I want to thank you so much for being on the library with Tim Einenkel.
Thank you. It's really cool, man. Thank you so much, Tim.
Thank you.
I'm telling you, most people aren't built for this world.
To the top, boy. Straight to the top, girl. Straight to the top, boy. Straight to the top, girl. Straight to the top, boy. Straight to the top, girl. Straight to the top, boy. Straight to the top.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my! Oh my! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my! Oh my! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my! Oh my God! Yeah.
Do you know your father wants to be a rapper? He's a rapper?
Yeah, but he's already a rapper.
He's already a rapper?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
He just wants to be more famous.
He what?
He wants to be more famous.
Hey, I'm Mark Goodman.
And I'm Alan Light.
On today's podcast, in celebration of International Guitar Month, Pete Townsend of The Who will join us.
Pete went deep with us into his relationship with the guitar and with music in general. The new Broadway version of Tommy, he clarified the status and the future of The Who, and much, much more.
Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light, the only music podcast that matters. Get it on Pandora, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Hey, it's Mark Goodman.
And I'm Alan Light.
On today's podcast, Record Store Day founder Carrie Colleton is joining us to discuss the April 20th RSD special releases.
Plus, we'll talk live with our audience, the Sound Up Pod Squad, and find out who still listens to vinyl. And some updates from the Beatles universe.
Oh, good. Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light, the only music podcast that matters. Get it on Pandora, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.